What's up guys, welcome to your 13th JavaScript tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to write a for loop. Now what this kind of loop does, it allows you to run a specific code or script however many times you specify it to. So you can either run it one time or 100, and it can do it all automatically depending on what you tell JavaScript to do. So the first thing we need before we even type what code it is a variable. And we need this because first we need to tell it how many times to run. So most of the time when people use for loops, they use an integer with the value of I, and they set it equal to either 1 or 0. I'm going to set mine equal to 0. This is just because I and 0 is some of the most simple and plain integers to work with. And the syntax for a for loop is just the word for. Then you add your parameters, and this tells JavaScript that we're going to be typing our for loop in here. Now inside your parameters you have to type 3 separate things. The first thing you type is what variable you're using and what you want to set its initial value to. So we already have this variable I equals 0, so in the loop we're going to be using I equals 0. That's our first value, and we're going to be setting it equal to 0 so it can start at 0. You separate elements in your parameter with a semicolon. Make sure you don't put a colon. Now once you type your semicolon, the second element you add is called the range, and this is how many times or how far you want your variables to reach. So it starts at 0, and I say, alright, well what do I want to end it at? Well, I want to end it when I, our variable, is less than or equal to 10. So 10 times pretty much. Now that we have that, we have 2 elements, and our third element is to tell JavaScript how much we want to increment it by. So since we just want to increment it by 1, I can type I plus plus, and remember plus plus means just add 1 every time. So we have a variable, start at 0, end at 10, add 1 to it every time. Now inside your for, add the curly braces just like a function, and inside is what you type your code that you want it to execute over and over again. What I want to tell it to do over and over again 10 times is go to document, write, and remember all this means is output basic on the screen. It's going to show right on our web page, and that's why I use these body tags, because we're not going to be using an alert box. And in the parameters I'm going to type I for the variable, and then after that we're going to want to add a line break. And remember, you can use HTML in your script by enclosing it in double parentheses. So now what this is going to do is go through this 10 times. Each of those times it's gonna output the integer. Now this isn't gonna display the same every time because we're adding 1 to it. And after that I just added a line break so it will show up easier, and you can see it on a different line instead of just on the same line, but you guys can just see that. So let me save that and refresh it. And as you see, at first started with 0, 1, 2, all the way to number 10. Now just to recap why this did this, first declare a variable. Say what you want it to start at. We started at 0 and ended at 10. As you can see, 0 ended at 10. Increment it by 1 each time. That's why it only went up by 1 each time, but you can have it increment by whatever you want. 2, 3, or 100. And then we write, alright, now we have our values and we know how many times we want to do the code. But what exactly is the code? That's where we type in here. The code is that we want you to write on the screen the number and then move on to the next line. So that's how simple it is to make a for loop. And there are a bunch of different kinds of loops that I'm going to be teaching you next time. But please support my videos and make sure to rate this and enjoy watching and learn this and then move on to my next video. Thank you.